on the agenda of the industry. Why did nobody pay any attention? Not just within Thailand, the same problems were faced by all destinations all over the world, which is why we keep talking about them today, whether it's called sustainability, whether it's called over-tourism. And you wonder why over the last 40 years, the industry has not been able to come to terms with this in a sustainable way. Now, let me just go back to the other issues, some other issues that came up. The aftermath of Visit Thailand year would have been, even numerically, would have actually been much better if it had not been for this damage that was done in this crisis that faced visitor arrivals from Saudi Arabia. In 1989, as I showed you earlier on, the visitor arrivals from Saudi Arabia, 77,000. Thailand was the flavor of the month, the apple in the eye of Saudis coming to Asia at that time. This is what happened in 1989, 1990. There were some 2 acts of criminality. You can find a lot about this information on the internet. But the Saudis were so angry with that, that they broke all relations with Thailand. They stopped all visitors coming here. They blocked all the flights. They stopped all the exports, and they threw out all the Thai laborers working in Saudi Arabia at that time. The history of this, a lot of this available on the internet, but you can see what happened. It was the worst crisis of that time. You can imagine, we talk about, the impact of the COVID crisis. Believe me, with the Saudis generating the highest spending visitors at that time, and the highest average length of stay, almost 10 days, spending so much money. In addition to that, the exports and the remittances, this is one of the worst self-inflicted damage that has ever been done, probably in the history of tourism. This got patched up just 2 years ago after a 32-year break. The number of Saudis are now beginning to climb up again. But this was one of the worst things one of the first, and the fact that unfortunately it happened right after 2 years after Visit Thailand year, just made the problems worse. It would have, of course, been much better for the industry to have continued to maintain the momentum, because the Saudis would have been by that time pretty much a major part of the solution. Well, as I mentioned, Thailand's great at converting an opportunity into a crisis. So in February 1981, it was back to business as usual. 1985, we had a coup attempt. Well, in 1991, the generals came out again, and they threw out after General Prem had stepped down. There was an election in 1988. A civilian government came to power, and in 1990-91 they got the boot. So here we have another coup that throws them out. Well, it got worse, because by that time the public was not very happy with what the generals were doing. Technically, they threw the civilian government out because they said the civilian government was all too corrupt. Well, the public is not stupid. They saw what was going on, that it was just essentially a changing of the guard. And in 1992, unfortunately, just last month marking the anniversary of that, it was the bloodiest battles Thailand has ever seen in its history. And of course, here you see it was between the military and the civilian elected representatives of the people, and there were outright battles. This was very interesting, because at that time this was, I think, the first electronic revolution, because by that time the mobile phones, those big clunkers, were beginning to come in, and people were actually using those phones to call each other to come out and join the demonstrations. Long before AI and ChatGPT and everything else came into being. You can see the crowds over there with people wanting to preserve the civilian democracy, and the battle and the generals wishing to retain power. Eventually, the generals buckled because the king again proved his value just by being there, just by sheer force of presence. He called in both the civilian and the military leaders and said, "Okay, guys, call it off." And overnight there was peace on the streets. And you can see the picture of the two leaders kneeling before His Majesty King Ramadan IX the Great, and calling an end to that entire bloody, almost about a week or 10 days of bloody battles on the streets. The problem, of course, then it didn't end there, because all that real estate boom, that hotels and shopping centers and malls and all the other stuff that started growing, it created a lot of strain on the banking sector, because many loans were being developed on a friendship basis. They were not backed by proper loans, by collaterals. They had all kinds of issues behind them, cronyism. And that, of course, created huge problems for the baht, which then became overextended. And these currency speculators knew that the country would not be able to defend it. And in 1997, that created one of the what was known as the Tom Yam Kung crisis, the worst economic crisis Thailand has ever known. And of course, that had a regional effect because it spread all through Indonesia, Malaysia, Korea. All the other countries felt the heat of this as this country collapsed. And this happened in 1997, right after 1987, the Visit Thailand year. So the downside impact, the negative impact of that, the greed, the gold rush also had an impact long after the Visit Thailand year. So let me just come to a few conclusions. Now, this was a very historic picture because it is in February 1971, His Majesty the King Rama IX, the Great, presided, paid his first and only visit to the what was then known as the Tourism Organization of Thailand. And these are the words he used. Basically, in less than 500 words, he set the agenda for what he saw as being the future of tourism in Thailand. Now, you will see, you can see the words here. He doesn't talk about doing another big branding campaign or another bringing in more visitor arrivals or boosting their visitor expenditure or average length of stay. None of all this economic stuff. None of this how it's going to contribute to GDP and all that. He just said pretty much, just take care of the country. We are a good, nice, hospitable people. If you take care of the product, our reputation will take care of itself. And this is what he talked about. Just focus on keeping our real assets, our natural beauty, our rich culture, our well-mannered people and way of life. And if that can be done, he said, Thailand will enjoy good relations with foreigners and word will spread pretty much by itself, which in turn will help make it more safe and sustainable. He just said, focus on preserving the product, not on throwing more budgets into doing another marketing campaign. And these words were actually reflected by the governor of the Tourism Authority of Thailand many years later in 1987, when he said pretty much the same thing. He echoed these words. Let's just take care of that product, our conservation. Again, what we today call sustainability. Well, the king already said that many years ago. This same echoed thing was echoed also by the first chairman of the Tourism Organization of Thailand. This was Dr. Thanat Khoeun, a very erudite statesman. He was also the country's first foreign minister. And because foreign affairs and tourism were seen as being part of the same package, more or less, having to deal with foreigners, he, in his capacity as the foreign minister, also was the chairman of the Tourism Organization of Thailand. And this is what he said in an anniversary publication marking the 30th anniversary. He said there was a price to be paid for bringing in so many numbers, that Thailand, there would be an issue related to the good image. And a lot of people were beginning to come in for sex, for drugs, for all kinds of stuff. And he said Thailand was paying a price for that because the image of Thailand was beginning to also change a little bit. And he said, we need to put a cap on this. We need to find ways of restricting this. In other words, again, what we are talking about high quality tourism today, he was saying, well, we need to start putting caps on this way back then. Very erudite words. Nothing. Today we just keep repeating the same thing, which means we really failed at heeding all those wise words of the past. And he said, if the price that you pay for tourism begins to be too high for the number of people that we are actually, the income that we are getting for it, we must have the heart to prevent it from happening. See the last paragraph at the bottom. If the problems besetting the tourism at present and in future, however large revenues may be earned by the country, if the ensuing disaster threatens to strike a fatal blow against large numbers of people, we must have the heart to prevent it from happening. And essentially he was saying, we need to stop mass tourism because if it's not the kind of tourist we want, we need to put a cap on that. Again, really goes to the heart of bringing what then became known as over-tourism and prevention and focusing on the prevention rather than the cure philosophy. So both His Majesty the King and Dr. Thanat had no interest in visitor numbers. No interest in visitor numbers. It was not about GDP, economic growth, jobs, etc., etc. It was all about preserving the country's reputation, and the numbers will follow. And my personal opinion, I think Thailand has actually failed a great king. And I say this quite frankly. It doesn't win me any popularity contest in Thailand because here the industry still wants to focus on the sunny side up. Only let's just focus on the sunny side. I very often get told by people that, you got to cut this part out. Don't talk about it. And I said, why? if you don't talk about it, how you going to, if you don't recognize that there was a problem, and many of our warnings were done there earlier on, many years ago. No, you want to sweep all this stuff under the carpet. No, I said recognize it, because we did great things. We had a lot of problems. You can't just be focusing on telling the fairy tales. You got to tell the real story, warts and all, and that's how you will actually get benefits. And these were, of course, the words of the king. And I frankly think they actually failed walking the talk of the king's words. If they actually heeded those words and not just built a great marketing campaign around it, but also heeded his words in terms of the promoting quality and preserving the product, that perfect balance of what we now call sustainability would have been very much in place today. Having said that, this is why I call Thailand the greatest story in tourism history, because you can learn from both the sustainable, the marketing side, as well as the marketing successes, as well as the management failures. So in this new era of tourism, how does this all apply? I can tell you there has never been an event like that in the history of global tourism. Never. No other country has ever pulled off an event like that. And I think we in Thailand need to be proud of our strengths. Today I'm a citizen of this country. I'm very proud of having covered this industry, warts and all, over the years. I have seen the great good it has done, but I have also seen the damage that it has done. And think we need to be proud of our strengths. At the same time, we need to recognize and address, honestly recognize and address our weaknesses. So in this tourism, in this new era, Thai tourism is back from the dead. Not just Thai tourism, but the whole world's tourism is back from the dead. And I think the lessons of the rise and the ups and downs of the Thai tourism industry can be applicable for any destination in the world today. All that we have done today with all these new buzzwords is just reinvent the wheel. Absolutely nothing. A lot of countries are paying big bucks, paying out huge fortunes to consultancy companies to come and say exactly the same thing what was being done by Thailand 40, 50 years ago. This is the country that is really a laboratory for how to get it right and to fix many of the mistakes from a prevention rather than cure issues. The industry has to learn the lessons of history, and we need to completely restructure and revamp the business model of travel and tourism at a global level and use those lessons, ready-made lessons, which are available pretty much on the record. Let me again conclude by pointing out the words of our former foreign minister, the importance of learning the lessons of history. Finally, I'm now working on a whole series of lectures on the history of tourism. What you have seen today is only a very small fraction of the history of Thai tourism that I have in my archives, covering, again, as I mentioned, the second and third phases of travel and tourism in the country's development trajectory. But I have got a whole bunch of other lectures which I'm focusing on. I talk about the history of the Greater Mekong subregion. I have got a detailed history on the MICE sector of Thailand, how Thailand beat the AIDS pandemic, another great success story. I discussed the major risks and threats facing tourism in this new global geopolitical environment today as well. A very important part of that, again, as a learning curve as we go forward. I talk about the great advertising campaigns. I've just shown you one major advertising campaign related to Visit Thailand here, but that branding image has been maintained over the years. Thailand's done some great advertising campaigns to promote its food, to promote its shopping, to promote its health and wellness. Amazing campaigns that have been done over the years. They're all within my archives. I've kept them meticulously for the value that they have for the global tourism industry. And of course, as I mentioned, Thailand, once they built the convention center, they were able to attract a whole bunch of major events, PATA conferences, ASEAN conferences, Mekong tourism conferences, the American Society of Travel Agents, the Australian Federation of Travel Agents, the World Youth Student Travel Conventions. There have been a whole series of them that have been held over the years. I've been fortunate to have covered most of them and show how each of them have contributed to the future of Thailand. I think today Thailand is really well placed to become, in the new era, a wonderful alliance of civilizations destinations. This is a free country. It gives a visa. That's what Thailand means, the land of the free. It's completely politically neutral. You can come in here as of next month, citizens of 91 countries will be able to come to Thailand visa free or visa on arrival. It's a great country. It doesn't matter whether you're a a Hindu or a Muslim or a Jew or a Jain or a Christian or a Parsi or a Sikh or whatever. Everybody is welcome here. It's completely, you can celebrate they celebrate Diwali here, Eid, all kinds of stuff. I mean, Christmas, everything is, they're completely politically neutral. And it doesn't matter, your sexual orientation. Just this week, they're having a major Pride festival. It makes absolutely no difference. One of the core values. And I think Thailand can actually become a really major alliance of civilizations destination. I'm trying to promote that as much as possible. And also building on its peace, the linkage between tourism and peace. Yes, Thailand's been to a lot of conflict, but again, there's a lot of learning curve of how it is also to reinventing itself on the peace agenda. Many of these campaigns have also been backed by people who are great communicators, individuals, wonderful, wonderful people. And I've been very fortunate to have dealt with them over the years. Each one of them, for those who are in the communication sector, believe me, the way these people communicated their campaigns. As I said, Thailand's been through just about every crisis known to mankind. In spite of that, we have got a great image. People come here by the droves. This has not happened by accident. It happened because we had what it takes to pull that off. And finally, not too many people know that in an era of gender equality, we have had probably the best collection of women entrepreneurs way back in the 1960s and the 70s. We had some amazing women who built some great hotels and built some and started off some wonderful tour operating companies who rendered some wonderful service. People don't know who these are, but as I said earlier on in my lecture, I'm passionate about remembering and recognizing and respecting the contribution of these individuals to the history of the Thai tourism industry. And I do individual lectures on each of these because I'm very fortunate to have dealt with all these wonderful people. So that's it from me. If you want to be notified of future lectures, I'm very happy to be working now with Jürgen, and hopefully we'll be doing many more live lectures like this going forward. Please send me a LinkedIn or email. If you want more specific tailor-made lectures for corporate development programs or for communications programs or for corporate management meetings, I'll be more than happy to tailor-make these according to specific sectors, whether it's the hotel sector or the MICE sector, whichever one but I'll be doing a number of these live lectures with Jürgen. And once more, Jürgen, I want to thank you for your support for this lecture. I hope, I'm not sure how many people are online watching in different parts of the world, but I hope they're getting value for time from being here. Many of you who are not able to join it live, hopefully you'll be able to see the recording later. So Jürgen, I'm very thankful to you for your support, and I hope this will land up benefiting the tourism industry at large, and I really value your partnership. So thank you very much indeed. Reza from Dubai, thank you for joining us today. I hope you've also seen a few opportunities that we can work on also. So thank you very much indeed. I'll be happy to take any questions if you can find some way of either getting them through me via chat on Zoom, or you can route them through Jürgen's networks. I don't know who you are. I can't see anybody on the screen, but if there's somebody you can put something on the chat rooms, I'll be happy to take a few questions. So thank you very much indeed. Sawadee Kap. Have a great weekend, all of you. And once more, thank you and goodbye. Please, again, just a reminder of the intellectual properties.
Thank you. MTS, you didn't promise too much. This was amazing. I learned a lot. And Thailand is definitely an amazing place, not only to visit. I've been there many times, as you know, and I'm always looking forward to come back. And every time you come, you're amazed again because there's so much new happening and it's never the same. And you're a person I know as long as I've been coming to Thailand, what is amazing on its own. But everyone who's watching us here on our network at eTurbo News, yes, if you do have questions, unfortunately, the system doesn't allow to relate them immediately unless you join our Zoom. So hopefully this is a lesson for everyone who's watching us. If you wanted to be part of this event next time, just join the Zoom event, and then you can actually ask questions, interact right away. But feel free to contact us and contact MTS. And if you missed the beginning of this event, just stay tuned, maybe because we were going to repeat it over the next 24 to 48 hours. And you always find it on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on the breakingnewsshow.com. And you can watch us anytime. Thank you again, MTS,
One-
from my end and on behalf of our readers.
Sorry, one thing. I just wanted to ask Reza if he had any questions. Reza, have you got any comments, feedback, questions? He's joined us Zoom from Dubai. You there, Reza? Yeah, he's
Yes,
there.
I'm here. Sorry. Yes, I was just unmuting my my speaker. This is no, thank you. I mean, this is really, I took some notes. It's absolutely fascinating. And when I look back, it's very personal because I remember visiting Thailand when I was very young with my family back in 1984, on a family trip, and to see, you know, how things have grown, and even over my trips over the past 15 years or so. It's just fascinating to see. And I mean, what's even more interesting is how much, you know, you've been involved in documenting this history. I mean, my mind is just ticking at the moment with ideas and thoughts on how we can make this into something really visually appealing for an audience, a global audience.
Good. We've got a good partnership with Jürgen as well. I mean, you know, it'll be nice to bring as many networks as we can to take this message forward at a global level. I think we've all got our strengths here, and it would be very useful. But I really see the Thailand example as being beneficial for the entire world at large. What do you think, Jürgen? That would be true, right? I mean, in this
absolutely.
Yeah. Good. Well, that looks like our agenda has been set. Once more, thank you very much indeed. Thanks for the feedback and comments, Reza. I look forward to working with you and Jürgen in the weeks and days ahead. So thank you very much indeed once more, everyone. And please do convey my thanks to Jürgen, to all those who are watching on your networks, and I look forward to hearing from them. My email address is on the screen. So if anybody is interested in dropping me a line, please feel free to join me. Thank you once more.
Yeah, and also from our end, MTS, we have a change at eTurbo News. As our readers know, we've been located in Hawaii since we started back in 2001, and this will change. This is actually our last broadcast you see on breaking news, on the breaking news shows, where I can say aloha to everyone. We're going to be moving to Dallas, Texas. So next time we see you, we're going to be on the mainland in another great city, and continue this event, to continue eTurbo News. We had a lot of fun here in Hawaii over the last 20-some years. And now it's time to move and see something else, but we're always going to consider Hawaii our home, and be coming back and, of course, reporting about this great destination we have here on our own. And it's a great world for travel, no matter where you go. Aloha from Hawaii.
Thank you, Kap. Thank you, everyone. Bye, Reza. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.